Hi everyone, I welcome you to my new class series, that is Nanotechnology, Devices and Applications, which the first class that is on fundamentals of nanosensors and devices, or fundamentals of basics of sensors. So in this particular class video, I'm explaining about the introduction to sensors, then micro and nano sensors, biosensor, thermal energy sensor, electromagnetic sensor, electrical resistance sensor, electric current, voltage, power sensor, magnetic sensor, mechanical, gas and liquid flow sensor, position, chemical, optical, radiation and gas sensor. So it is going to be a little bit lengthier video class. So introduction, sensor, the basic concept of preparing a sensor, that is to sense something. We know even human beings has got the ability to sense by using our skin or our tongue or eyes. So we have that capability. But in all applications, humans cannot reach some certain places or some minute changes. It is not possible, and we need always help. That is a device to find it out. So we go for the technological advances preparing the sensors. Different sensors are there. That what I just seen previous slide. So it is just a device which convert a non-electrical, that means physical or chemical quantity, into an electrical signal. Once it is converting the electrical signal or similar signal, it is easy to detect or to identify based on the strength of the signal. It may be a device, it may be a module or a subsystem whose purpose is to detect the changes or the events which occurs in the environment and send the information to other electronic devices. Mainly we use a computer processor to analyze it. It is always used along with other electronics, even simple as that of light can also be used to analyze it, or even a computer can be used to analyze what type of measurements are used, or what type of measurement is there. Is the qualitative detection as well as quantitative measurement. It is possible. Uh, that about the introduction to sensor classification based on the measurements or based on the signal which is used. We can classify as a thermal sensor, which detects temperature or heat flow, entropy, heat capacity, etc. can be measured. Radiation sensor can be used to detect gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, microwave, radio waves, as well as their qualitative uh, measurement. Quantitative measurement. Mechanical sensors mainly used to measure the displacement or velocity, acceleration, pressure, force, wavelength, acoustic wavelength, amplitude or mass flow can be detected. Magnetic field, flux, magnetic moment, magnetization, magnetic permeability, all these are matter of studied. Those can be detected by using a magnetic sensor. Then humidity, pH level and ions, gas concentration, toxic flammable materials, concentration of vapors or the odor or colasmin or pollutants. Those are related to the chemical properties which can be sensed by using a chemical sensor. And the biological active ingredients, biological active materials like protein, hormones, antigen, even sugars, it can be detected by using biological sensor. Now the first one, that micro and nano sensors. Micro and nano sensors are almost the same type. The micro sensors, when we see first, it is a very small sensor based on the dimension, the physical dimension we call it as micro sensor. It is about sub micrometer to millimeter range, the total size of this sensor. Examples include capacitive accelerometer, piezoresistive pressure sensor, conductometric gas sensor, virus detecting micro cantilever, fiber optic packet sensors, portable blood analysis, etc. are example for microsensors. What is the importance of a microsensor? It is having easy to produce, mass production is possible, and very less materials are required because the size of the sensor is micro level, not a macro sensor. A very big device, it is not a very big device, a small device, very small device called as micro sensor. So lower manufacturing cost. And for integration purpose, IC integrated chips technology, it has got a wider exploitation and application to sensor arrays, and it has got a very low weight. That means you can carry it. That means greater portability is with the micro sensors. In the micro sensor, if the material used is it is nano materials are used, then we can call it as nano sensors. Can be increased specificity because very small sizes, nano sizes, that is the size of a biological active materials. Biological activity can be detected. It can function in such a way that the chemical and biological molecules can be detected even easily, because the range, the size range, it matches with that of nano to that of the biological active or chemical or even molecules. uh, their application, main applications of nanosensors are in medicine, or in detection of contaminants or pathogens in workplace, or even the environment where we work or nearby, or even the contaminants in food can be detected easily by using nanosensors. Even monitoring the manufacturing process equipments, or even transportation system, or which any leakage is happening, or any changes which will affect the manufacturing process can be sensed very easily by nanosensor. Their efficiency is very high because they have more active surfaces, as we already discussed about. We know about the importance of nanomaterial. They have very active, very large number of active sulfur. Therefore, sensing is very fast and efficient. Next one, biosensors. It is an analytical device to detect the analyte. Analyte means the one which you want to analyze. It may be a biological, means it's a combination of biological component with a physico-chemical detector. Physico-chemical means it includes the concepts of physics as well as chemistry. So the biology, physics, chemistry, all these concepts are combined and prepared as a sensor. We call it as a biosensor, mainly used to detect biological active elements like tissues, microorganisms, organelles, cell receptors, enzymes, antibodies, nucleic acid, or even biologically derived material or biomimetic components can be analyzed or detected by using biosensor. It is typically consists of the sensor, its instrumentation. When we discuss, it consists of, I'm not going in detail about the instrumentation that, just fundamentals discussing here. It consists of a biorecognition site, a biotransducer component, and an electronic system containing amplifier, processor, as well as display. Based on the biotransducer type, it can be, biosensor can be classified. A transducer means, the word transducer, that is mainly comes in electronics. It is the one which is used to convert from one energy form to the another form. So if it is biological, biomaterials are used, we call it as biotransducer. Therefore, it is a recognition transduction component of a biosensor system. It consists of two intimately coupled parts, a bio recognition layer and a physico-chemical transducer, which acting together converts a biochemical signal to an electronic or optical signal. Therefore, it consists of a biotransducer, uh, which is connected to the bio recognition layer. So bio recognition layer will sense what type of materials are there nearby to that device. Then the transducer will analyze it and send it to for further processing. Now, based on the type of biotransducers, we can classify biosensors as electrochemical biosensors, optical biosensors, electronic biosensors, gravimetric biosensors, pyroelectric, as well as piezoelectric. Now, what is electrochemical? We already know, and combines the concept of chemistry as well as the electron movement. Optical related to light, electronic as such is electrons, gravimetric based on the gravimetric gravitational force. Now, pyroelectric and piezoelectric, I might have already studied. Pyroelectric material, it generates a temporary voltage when they are heated or cooled. Such type of material we call it as pyroelectric. Whereas piezoelectric material, they generate electric current, or the current generation is possible based on the mechanical stress. That is under pressure, mechanical stress. If it is there, then it will generate. Next one, that is thermal energy sensor. Thermal energy sensor, it can be categorized as temperature sensor as well as heat sensor. Now it is very clear what is thermal energy. It uses the thermal energy. It may be temperature as such, or it may be heat. Okay, based on the temperature sensor, we can say we have the sensors like thermometer, thermostats, All are sensors only based on the which called as temperature sensor. Heat sensor, example bolometer, calorimeter, heat detector, calorimeter, and all we studied in basic engineering, that is bomb calorimeter, and the heat produced, it is measured. Thermal energy sensor find application in household electronics, like thermostats, thermometer, and things as sophisticated as a computer as well as a microprocessor. Now the temperature sensor, it maintains a specific temperature. It is essential for fabricating. That means in industry related to the medical drugs, or a heat liquid or cleaning equipment, where we need to maintain a particular temperature, as it is essential to maintain. If the temperature raises above that, it will destroy or destruct the system, destruct the industrial production or the manufacturing. Therefore, where it is required to maintain the temperature, to detect the temperature, it is as well as a part of the preventive reliability. That means prevention. The prevention is always better than cure, that we already know. So to prevent whatever unnecessary, unwanted developments, to prevent that, we have to use a temperature sensor. For example, while an appliance may not actually perform any high temperature activity, then the system itself may be at a risk for or of overheating. There are four commonly used temperature sensor type, like NTC, that is negative temperature coefficient thermistor, resistant temperature detector, we call as RTD, and thermocouple and semiconductor based sensors. So most of the we already studied, they are available in market. When they explain marketing people, when they explain about, we heard about NTC, RTD. Now we just see what it is, basically what it is, that we can see. The negative temperature coefficient, or NTC thermistor, uh, it they are resistors with a negative temperature coefficient. A negative temperature coefficient means the resistance will decrease with the increase in temperature. The material's resistance will decrease when the temperature increases. When there is a change in the resistance, it can be measured. It provides a very high resistance at a low temperature, then low resistance at a high temperature. As the temperature increases, the resistance drop quickly, because the NTC resistor experience a large change in resistance per degree Celsius. That means even a small change in temperature are reflected, and it can be detected fast with a very high accuracy of 0.05 to 1.5 degrees Celsius accuracy it can maintain. That means the error possibility is only up to 0.05 to 1.5 degrees Celsius. That much accurately it can detect the variation in temperature. Now RTD, resistant temperature detector, it is also known as a resistant thermometer. It will measure the temperature by correlating resistance of an element, which we call as RTD element, with temperature. So for the resistance and the temperature only measured. So an example schematic representation is given. It may be consist of a film or a wire which is wrapped around a ceramic or glass cover, which is the basic requirement of an RTD. And the resistance change of the material, usually the platinum wire which is used, or platinum thin film layer which is used, that will be measured by based on the temperature. But that means as temperature increases or decreases, there will be a resistance change in that is measured. The most accurate RTDs, they use platinum, because it has got high accuracy of 0.1 to 1 degree Celsius, even to a temperature range of minus 200 to 600 degrees Celsius. But lower cost RTD can be made with nickel and copper. Platinum is mainly used because of its high accuracy, but lower cost RTD sensor can be prepared with nickel and copper, but their efficiency or repeatability are very less. They are not stable or repeatable. RTDs also tend to be most expensive of temperature sensors. Now thermocouple, it uses two different wires made up of different metals connected at 2 points. One point in which is it sends the temperature, and the other point it will we will analyze it. The varying voltage between these 2 points reflects proportional changes in temperature. Okay, therefore two different metals are used, two different wires are used. Their heat capacity or heat flow capacity will be different. So based on that, we know which type of wire is used, and how much is the variation happened. Based on that, it is very easy to detect the changes in temperature. These thermocouple, they are non-linear because we are not measuring the temperature variation in a very linear fashion. Non-linear, indirect method we are using in other fashion. If I say, it require a conversion when used for temperature control and compensation, typically accomplished using a lookup table. That means to measure the temperature variation, we need to have a reference table is required. Based on the reference table only or lookup table only, we can say the exact changes in the temperature. And also the accuracy is low, manual error also will come to play. In addition to that, because the two different wires are used, the temperature, the heat has to pass through that wire. Some heat dissipation also possibilities are there. Therefore accuracy is comparatively low, 0.5 to 5 degrees Celsius, up to 5 degrees Celsius temperature variation. Error possibilities are there, but they operate across a widest temperature range of minus 200 to 1750 degree Celsius. Now, semiconductor based sensor. In semiconductor based sensor, they used semiconductor material as a sensing element, which is placed over in connection with the IC circuit, integrated circuit. Uh, these sensors effectively two identical diodes with the temperature sensing voltage versus current characteristics are used and used to measure the temperature changes. Therefore, it is a semiconductor based sensor, is a type of temperature sensor. They offer a linear response, a direct response, an indirect measurement of the variation in temperature, and the accuracy is up to 5 degrees Celsius, 1 to 5 degrees Celsius, and they have the slowest response to 5 to 60 seconds. Within 60 seconds, it will measure the changes in temperature across a narrowest temperature range of 70 to 150 degree Celsius. Now the heat sensor, or usually we call it as a heat detector. You might have seen this type of devices in our home or in a shopping mall. And the heat sensor or heat detector is a fire alarm device which is designed to respond when there is a thermal energy or mainly a fire cases when it comes. When fire cases comes, then automatically the room temperature will increase and it will heat up, the room will heat up, and the heat sensitive element present in that, it is used to measure it or detect it. Then it will create the temperature of that material will increase. Then it will give the indication of the change in heat in that particular environment. The thermal mass and conductivity of element regulate the rate flow of heat into element. That means some material that we use in this detector, its mass, the thermal mass and its conductivity property, it decides the rate of flow of heat into the element. All heat detectors have this thermal lag. Okay, that is always a thermal lag. The exact temperature it will not measure. Always the environmental heat will be higher than the heat detected or displayed or analyzed by the device. So there is a thermal lag. Heat detector have two main classification of operation: rate of rise and fixed temperature operations. It is used to help in reduction of damaged property or not to exact measurement of the temperature or heat. It is not used. It is used just as an alarm to make people aware that some fire cases are happening or there is a change in temperature in that environment. Now that rate of rise heat detector or ROA, which operate on a rapid rise in element temperature, it is 6.7 degrees Celsius to 8.3 degrees Celsius increase per minute. That means every minute 6.7 to 8.3 degrees Celsius temperature changes it measured irrespective of the starting temperature. Rate of rise detector may not respond to low energy release rate of slow developing fires. That means slow developing fires it cannot detect. Once the heat of the temperature increases in a fast rate, in a 6.7 to 8.3 degrees Celsius, in that rate, if the temperature rise increases, then only it can detect. That is the rise rate of rise heat detector. It can operate at a low temperature fire condition. Operation would be possible if the thresholds are fixed. If we can change the element present in that, or by fixing the temperature limit and that, even a low temperature detection is also possible. But in general cases, it is used. It is not used for that. It has two heat-sensitive thermocouples or thermistor. One thermocouple monitors heat transferred by the convection or radiation, while the other responds to the ambient temperature. It responds to the detector responds when the first sensing element temperature increases relative to the other element present in that device. Now the fixed temperature heat detector. This is the most common type of the heat detector which is used. It operates when the heat sensitive eutectic alloy reaches a eutectic point. That eutectic point where this radiated is a point at which both solid, liquid, and gaseous phase exist together. So a material whose eutectic point it is near to that sensing temperature what we want to measure, then it will change from solid state to liquid state, or liquid state to solid state, or even to gaseous state. That material change can be used for the detection. The thermal lag delays the accumulation of heat at a sensitive element, so that even a fixed temperature device will reach its operating temperature sometimes after the surrounding air temperature exceeds that temperature. That means in here also there is a thermal lag. The accurate measurement of a heat it is not possible. Only it can also, again it is used as an alarm type material. So it can the most common used fixed temperature heat detector in which the temperature range it is fixed to 58 degrees Celsius. That means when the heat goes above 58 degrees Celsius, then only it will detect. But for better technological development, then that activation temperature it is reduced to 47 degrees Celsius. And now heat sensor or heat detectors are having a fixed temperature of 47 degrees Celsius uh, for better safety purposes. Now, electromagnetic sensor function by transforming a physical quantity such as pressure or loudness, and it is measured in the form of a signal, a voltage or current, or some type of circuit parameter. Usually impedance are measured, and that type of instrument we call it as electromagnetic sensor. So far there are many different electromagnetic sensor developed for different applications, like ohm meter, voltmeter, watt hour meter, Hall sensor, semiconducting magnetoresistors, ferromagnetic magnetoresistors, superconducting quantum interference devices. It's a very important uh, sensor it is. Squids, it's a very interesting to study about squids. Then radar also. All this comes under electromagnetic sensing. By seeing the examples, now I think it is very easy to understand what are electromagnetic sensors. Now, electromagnetic wave, that we know it has got both electric field as well as magnetic field. When this radiation hits in a moving object, that this radiation will bounce back to the source, which also which is it come back to the receiver, and the receiver will analyze how much electromagnetic waves are coming back from the object. Based on that, measurement is done. Now we one of the important physical concept that is known as Doppler effect we have to consider for this case, because the wave which is reflected from the moving object, it is shifted towards us based on the Doppler effect. Since the electromagnetic radiation was at a precise frequency, what is sent out and at new frequency upon its return. This can be used to calculate the velocity of the target. Now this is the Doppler effect, which is we are represented schematically here. This when a source of wave it is moving towards an observer, that the arrow map indicate here that observer is present here, and this is the wave which is coming near to the observer. Each successive wave crest is emitted from a position closer to the observer. Okay, so we may think that the wave will have the same frequency, but once a wave is completed, the next crest or a trough, the wave from that it is much closer to the observer. Therefore, there will be a frequency change. That means, therefore, the waves takes a slightly less time to reach the observer than the previous wave, and the time between the arrival of successive wave crest at the observer is reduced, which causes an increase in frequency. That means as it comes near to the observer, the wave frequency is increasing. That is represented in the image. While they are traveling in the distance between successive wave front is reduced, so the waves will bunch together. The waves will come closer together and become the same way, if the source wave is moving away from the observer, each wave is emitted from position farther from the observer and previous wave, and it will reduce the frequency. The distance between successive wave front is increased, so waves will be spreading out. Now, the electrical resistance sensor, based on electrical resistance, the electrical conductance, we'll see one by one. Electrical resistance and electrical conductance sensor measure the resistance or conductance of an electrical component or system. Companies which manufacture the resistors or inductors or chocks, they usually use this type of sensor to analyze or to rectify the produced manufactured product is not in good condition or meets the specification. Even switches, relays, connectors of electrical resistance and conductance sensors are used. Electrical conductor sensors are used. Cable manufacturers, which usually done with the copper metal, they also use electrical conductance measure sensors to check its properties of the copper wire, so that when it is used as a cable material, it will meet the specifications. Now, measuring the resistance of a welding cable in automotive industry, we need to have a sensor for that, and even electrical resistance sensors are used for a battery to test the battery leads, resistance of a wiring and its hardness, the resistance of a crimp-on connectors, electrical resistance sensors are used. And the electrical resistance or conductance sensor can be used to detect changes in the earth, water, and materials into which other materials or gases may migrate. It as the conditions of material changes, very often the electrical conductivity of the material also changes. The electrical current sensor. A current sensor is a device which detects the electric current in a wire and generates a signal proportional to the current formed in a wire. The general signal could be analog voltage or current or even a digital output. It can be used to display the measured current in an ammeter, or it can be stored and analyzed later stage using a data acquisition system, or can be used for the purpose of control. The sensed current output signal can be alternating current of analog or bipolar unipolar output, or even can be direct current input, which is unipolar or digital output. Applications, they are used as hard effect IC sensors, transformer or current clamp meter, usually done for AC current only, or fluxogate transformer type, in which both AC and DC current is used. It is used in a resistor or fiber optic current sense, even Rogowski coil, which is an electrical device used to measure the alternating current or high speed current pulses. Now, electrical voltage sensor is a device which converts voltage measured between 2 points of an electrical circuit into a physical signal proportional to the voltage. That means it measures the voltage. By the name itself, it is clear. Voltage sensor can in fact determine or monitor and or even measure a supply of voltage, both AC level and DC level voltage. It can be measured, and the input to the voltage sensor is the voltage itself, and the output can be any analog type of signal, switches, audible signals, analog current level, frequency, or even frequency modulate output also possible. But the measured one, it is the voltage changes. That is, some voltage sensor can provide sine or pulse trains as output, and other can produce amplitude modulation, pulse width modulation, or frequency modulation outputs. Based on that, different methods are, different sensors are available. Now, in voltage sensor, it is the measurement is based on the voltage divider. There are two types: capacitive type, in which capacitors are used, C1, C2 in the image represent the capacitors, and the total voltage output also calculated here. And if you are using resistors, resistive type of voltage sensors are also there. Finally, we are measuring input voltage as well as the output voltage in electrical voltage sensor. Application: power failure detection. It can be used, load sensing, safety switches, temperature control, power demand control, and fault detection you can use. Now, power sensor, electrical power sensor, it uses characteristics of an electric power. AC circuit and electric power sensor can be used to measure power quality. These measurements are then converted into corresponding analog or digital signal to be read by another device or display. Some electrical power sensors are incorporated into transformers or other components of the power distribution grid. That means the high voltage power supply grid, they are using the power sensors. These power sensors measure one or more physical characteristics and convert them to electrical signal. And it is used for electrical power sensor, are used in power grids mainly. The main application is power grid. Although automatic controls are used to respond to system problems such as overcurrent, undercurrent, voltage sags, trained persons are needed to monitor this overall grid performance, and to respond to the specific equipment problems. Therefore, electric power sensors have limited applications, mainly in power grid, that too with manpower also required. With the development of intelligent sensors, equipment problems can be detected and reported with greater efficiency. Now, magnetic sensors mainly depends upon the Hall effect, which is based on the interaction between moving electric carrier and external magnetic field. And when a metal in which the carriers are electrons, charge carriers are electrons, and the electron move through a magnetic field, and it feels a sidewise force. That force is calculated as F is equal to Q into V into B. Q is electronic charge, V is the speed of an electron, B is the magnetic field. So the Hall effect, let us assume that the source of electric current is connected to the upper and the lower end of the strip, which is measured and indicated as plus and minus, and the movement of electrons also represented. And because of the Hall effect, the force F shifts moving electrons toward the right side of the strip, which becomes more negative than the left side. Okay, therefore, which has got a magnetic field there. The sign and amplitude of transverse Hall potential difference, that is VH, depends upon both magnitude and the direction of magnetic field and electric current. Now, based on the Hall effect or Hall concept, Hall effector sensor has got applications. It can be used to indicate the fuel level in fuel tanks, because the floats which are used which will float in the fuel, and it will rise as the fuel quantity increases in the tank, or the volume increases. The gap between the magnet and the Hall sensor will be changed when this float moves, and it results in the changing of output. So based on that, we can measure how much fuel level is present in the tank. What is the fuel level in the tank? The even the springs are kept and arranged in such a way that the floats can move only in vertical position. So based on that float movement, as well as the magnetic and the Hall sensor distance measured by based on that, it is very easy. So you can see a magnet is present there and a Hall sensor is present, and we know when magnetic field come near to that one, the electrical output variation already we seen with the Hall effect. So based on that, we can measure the liquid level in the fuel tank. Mechanical sensors, mainly pressure sensor, I'll be discussing under mechanical sensor. They are used to measure the mechanical phenomena. It may be mass, force, pressure, strain, velocity, acceleration, and weight. So the main mechanical sensing techniques includes the piezoresistivity or piezoelectricity, capacitive technique, inductive technique, and resonant technique. And the main sensor types are pressure sensors, force and torque sensor, inertial sensor, and flow sensor. I'm going in detail a little bit about pressure sensor. It is a device to measure the pressure of gases or liquid. It is an pressure. It is expressed as force per unit area, and pressure sensor usually act as a transducer. It generates an electrical signal as a function of pressure imposed. Some pressure sensors are pressure switches which turn on or off at a particular pressure. For example, a water pump can be controlled by a pressure switch. As reservoir water level increases or decreases, it will automatically switch off, switch on. That type of sensor are called as pressure sensor. Application, mainly the pressure sensing. It is used in weather instrumentation, aircraft, automobiles, and other machinery in which variation in pressure is act as a function. It is used in altitude sensing because as altitude varies, there is a pressure variation. Therefore, it is used in aircraft, rocket, satellite, weather balloons. Has got applications with the pressure sensor. They use the applications make use of a relationship between changes in pressure relative to the altitude. Now the level or depth can be measured. Usually submarines and they need this type of sensing technology. Even the water tanks or water towers, level of content in a tank, how much present or the contents present in a huge tank. So the tanks can be measured by using pressure sensor. Even it is used to measure the leak testing, because big vessels, that means reaction vessels, in which a particular pressure is maintained. So a pressure sensor, if it is kept near to that, if there is a leakage, there will be a pressure drop which can be measured and indicated. Also, it is used in flow sensing. Flow sensing, it is done with the help of a Venturi tube. So Venturi effect, it is indicated here. It is a reduction in fluid pressure as a result when a fluid flows through a constricted section or a choke of a pipe. Now, gas and liquid flow sensors. The flow measurement is the quantification of bulk fluid movement. Both gas and liquid flow can be measured in volumetric type, in which the measurement unit is liter per second, or mass flow rate, in which is kilogram per second. The gas or liquid, either we can measure in terms of its volume, or it can measure in terms of its mass. The measurements are related by the material's density. Density of liquids are almost independent of conditions. Small changes are there based on the temperature or pressure. But compared to gases, the density variation in liquid is almost independent of condition. Whereas in gases, the density drastically changes based on the pressure, temperature, and other events, or even composition of the gas. So gas flow sensors, gases are compressible and change in volume, changes volume. It's not change volume, changes volume when placed under pressure or heated or cooled. Volume of gas under one set of pressure and temperature condition, it is not equivalent to or same as that of a different condition. Therefore, by using a standard or a base, the actual flow rate can be measured and it can be recorded as actual cubic meter per hour or standard cubic meter per second or even 1000 standard cubic meter per hour or linear feet per minute or even million standard cubic feet per day. Liquid flow sensors, it depends upon the application. For liquid, various units are used depending upon applications and industry, but it includes gallons per minute, liters per second, bushels per minute, and if when we are measuring in terms of the flow in river water, it may be cubic meter per second or acre feet per day. Now, position sensors, so it's very clear. It detects the particular position of a material that we want to, material substance that we want to measure. It permits uh, position measurements. It can either be absolute position sensor or relative one. That means displacement sensor. Relative means moving objects position can also be detected. It can be linear, angular, or multi-axis. Some of the sensors which are comes under position sensors are capacitive transducer, capacitive displacement sensor, eddy current sensor, ultrasonic sensor, grating sensor, laser Doppler vibrometer, linear variable differential transformer (LVDT), multi-axis displacement transducer, string potentiometer, etc. are comes under position or are the classifications of a position sensor. Now, chemical sensor, it is a chemical sensor is a self-contained analytical device which can provide information about the chemical composition or its environment, or it may be a liquid or gas phase. That means any chemical variations present can be detected by using a chemical sensor. So the information is provided in the form of a measurable physical signal, which is correlated with the concentration of the chemical species. Based on the presence of amount of chemical species present, that much signals will be, physical signals will be generated. If the sensed material, if it is a biological material, then such type of chemical sensors we call it as biosensor. We already seen the fundamentals of biosensor. Now the functioning of chemical sensor, it has got two steps involved, two main steps involved, that is recognition and transduction. In recognition step, the analytical molecule which will interact with the selected receiver molecule present in the device. That means it will analyze it or it will detect it. Then in the second step, it is transduction process. It is converted into a physical parameters based on the amount of chemical species present or quality of the chemical species present, and to give the output signal. Now, optical sensors, optical means related to light. It converts light rays into electronic signal. It is used to measure the physical quantity of light, and depending on the type of sensor, and then translate it into a form that is readable or which can be displayed. Type of optical sensors, even photo conductive devices, a photovoltaic cell, or we call it a solar cell, photodiode, a phototransistor. These are all the common type of optical sensor we used. And there are other industrial purposes, continuous production unit, manufacturing unit. They use optical sensors, different type of, three different type of optical sensors. First one, that is through beam sensor. Through beam sensor means we have a emitter as well as a receiver, and the object which you want to measure, if it comes in between these two, that means the emitter will emit the signal and receiver will not receive that signal in that particular time gap that is used to measure the or identify the object present in that. Okay, so the transmitter projects light beam onto the receiver. The interruption of the light beam, it is interrupted as a switch signal by the receiver. The second one, that is retro-reflective sensor, in which the emitter and the receiver are both present in the same device, and there is a reflector present on the other side. If some object come in between the light, it will be measured. Now, diffuse reflection sensors. Diffuse reflection sensors, in which a transmitter and receiver are in one house, in the same one. The transmitted light is reflected by the object. That means on the emitted light will be reflected only if the object comes in its path. Optical sensors are integrated parts of computers, Xerox machines, that is copy machines, and automatic switch on switch off devices. Optical sensors are used. Ambient light sensors are seen in mobile handsets. We are using it when we are continuously using a mobile phone, so it will be having brighter. As soon as we just stop operating it, automatically the light it will dim. So that is ambient light sensors to increase the voltage, the battery capacity, to extend the battery life. Then breath analysis can be done with the tunable diode lasers. It will monitor, measure the heart rate using light. That means our breathing, it is controlled by our heart rate. So based on that breath sample, it will detect and tell what is the rate of heartbeat. Similarly, photoplethysmography, it uses very simple device to check the heart rate. Bright LED is used, and it will be transmitted or shines through our skin, and based on the fluctuation in the blood level, it will detect, and it is related to the heart rate again. So blood rate, the movement of blood, it is again pumped by the heart only. Electro-optical sensors are electronic detectors that convert light or a change in light into electronic signal. They are used in many industrial and consumer applications, like lamps which will turn automatically in darkness, position sensors which activate when object interrupts a light beam, flash detection or synchronized photographic flash of another, photoelectric sensor that detect the distance, absence or presence of an object, and also it is used nowadays in chemical analysis, like instrumentation analysis, like visible spectroscopy or infrared spectroscopy, UV visible spectroscopy, etc. Now, radiation sensor or radiation detectors. Radiation energy, it is traveling in form of particles or wave in bundles of energy which we call as photons. Everyday examples of use of radiation energy, that is our microwave ovens used to cook food, radio waves used for radio and television transmission, light we use, x-rays we use even in medicinal applications. Radioactivity, it is a natural or spontaneous process by which an unstable atom of an element which emit this radioactive excess energy. Excess energy is emitted in form of photons or electrons, equal as photons only, in the form of waves, and these emissions are collectively called ionization radiation. And these ionization radiations are a little bit dangerous because it can interact with other material, it can remove electrons from the atoms of the material, and even living organisms also, it can remove the electrons or atoms present in that. It will affect. This effect is the reason why ionization radiation is hazardous to health and provides the means by which radiation can be detected. Therefore, detection of radiation is very important. There are two types mainly. Scintillation detector. The basic principle behind the scintillation detector is how, whether in presence of the this type of radiation, the material will glow, which we call as a scintillates. Based on that, the sensor is device. Usually it uses a sodium iodide for this type of applications. The second type, that is gas field detectors. When a radiation passes through the air, a specific which containing a specific gas, ionization of that gas molecule will take place. And if a voltage is applied to that gas, that means ionization is charge separation. Charge is developed. The positive charge will go to the negative electrode. Negative charge or ions will go to the positive electrode, which produces a current. Movement of electrons, movement of charge carriers to different electrodes, it will obviously causes a current. This current, it can be, it will be very minute current. So a very sensitive measuring device, it is used to measure this current and display the property. If more radiation is present, more current will be generated and more effective signals will be produced. So based on that, gas field detectors are used. Example for such gas field detectors, main important example is Giger-Muller counter, which is already we know. Now, gas sensor or gas detectors, it is a device which is used to detect or quantify the presence or qualitatively the concentration of gases quantitatively in a specific volume, regularly using air as the reference environment. A gas detector is a device which detects the presence of gases in an area, often a part of a safety system. It is this type of equipment, it used to detect a gas leak or other emissions which can interface with a controlling system. So a process can be automatically shut down based on that. Common gas sensor include combustible gas sensor, photoionization detector, infrared point sensor, ultrasonic sensors, electrochemical gas sensor, and semiconductor sensor. Now, even infrared imaging sensor also come into applications. Now, gas detection, it can be used in industries to detect or the presence of combustible gases, leakage of combustible gases, flammable or toxic gases, or even the oxygen depletion in the industry working area. They used in firefighting, used in wastewater treatment facilities, in vehicles, indoor or other air quality testing at homes also it is used. So that's about the fundamentals of nano sensor devices. In detail, so many other applications based on nano material concept also will be coming in my next video classes. Those who are not yet subscribe my YouTube channel, My Intuition, I request you to please subscribe my YouTube channel. Then please press the like button and share it to your friends. Hope this video class it covered almost entire almost a 5 hours portion if I take it as a regular class mode. But I could able to cover it all that detail in this particular video class, so that one can refer it and they can further go in detail about the different sensors which is used in the industry. So I thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.